Welcome back to this out of control project. This came in for a little bit of chassis repair, a little patch up to the bulkhead it was, but it has got wildly out of control. We bought a full bulkhead. Very satisfying it was too to get this on there. Nearly 30 chassis repairs. The engine, I was just going to clean it up and paint it. It's a full overbore, new pistons, full on engine rebuild. The gearbox, I was just going to change the oil. Full gearbox rebuild. The transfer case too with an Ashcroft high ratio kit. This really has turned into a full mechanical restoration and it's been good fun. Let me know in the comments if you started something thinking, yeah, just a little bit of work, and it's just turned into a mammoth restoration. In this video, I'm going to have every panel except the doors fitted, all the interior, all the seats and the roof, all the way back from the bulkhead. Before I get into that, I'm going to show you how to repair the front end of your sills on your Land Rover. So I'm going to replace these ends. That is a replacement for that end there, look. That one's pretty crusty, and that one's entirely missing. There's quite a bit of forgiveness lengthways, because that upright bracket can be bolted on in quite a... there's a bit of a slot for it, look, so there's a good bit of forgiveness there. Lefty-righty, there's a huge amount of forgiveness with these massive slots. So the only thing really to align is the uppy-downy bit of it, that position that way. Get the weather sealing strip out the way, and then clean off the worst of the rusty bits. Start with the grinder, finish with the wire wheel on the angle grinder. I've taken some measurements and it seems if it sits on the underside of this surface, like so there, it's actually spot on. So I appreciate there's a gap there to fill, but the welder's more than capable of doing a good job of that. So I use a bit of the old buzz and weight technique. That's it, both of them are done. Very pleased with that weld in there, my goodness, look at that thing. Can't believe it. It's the machine, obviously, not the operator. These are galvanised, so I'm not going to strip them all back. I'm just going to stick a bit of paint on here, a bit of stone chip, and leave it at that. And then stick it all back together. Here we go, those sill plates go on. Those are the steel structural part of it. A lot of aluminium hangs off it on the outside and the inside, but those are relatively easy to get back in. Scrape this front edge before the seat box goes in. You can see the black bit I've painted beneath the passenger seat there, which won't last terribly long, so there's some pretty deep rust in it. But that was it then. Bolting it down was not that hard, really. And you can see here I'm getting the driver's, having trial fitted it, I'm now getting the driver's foot or floor in. A little bit tricky around the gear transfer case selector, but no dramas after that really, so it's a mixture of like machine screws and then bolts. And then the passenger side as well, which again, having done the bulkhead, all aligned reasonably well really. Screws and bolts again, and then we go on with the seat frames. We're really getting this thing together now. Passenger seat frame first, and then the centre seat frame first, and the passenger and driver's seat frame. While I was at it, I thought I'd give all 6 seats that is the backs and the bottoms of the seats a nice clean up. Didn't make a huge difference, I have to say. And then these 3 panels go in, covering the fuel tank, gearbox and the cubby hole. And then I can get on with the seats. And of course, anyone who's eagle-eyed will spot I've forgotten the seat belts here. So actually the drivers and passengers uprights had to come off again later on, but that doesn't matter. And that was that. Yeah, baby! There we go, one very old interior, restored to where it should be. Oh man, this is ready, I can't believe it. Doors to go on, wings and these sill panels along here, which will come later. I'll do all this together, but now really the windscreen and the roof could go on, which is amazing. What a milestone. I can't believe it, I'm nearly done. So with the wheels straight and the tracking done and the steering box in the centre of its movement, I can put the steering wheel on. I've repainted that steering wheel centre, so I'm going to clean the rest of it up. The owner was talking about putting a smaller wheel on, but I've mentioned that without power steering it might not be the best idea, so I think we're going to see how we go with the steering wheel. So the windscreen mounts on here, and then there's 2 more bolts which goes on here, which bolts the windscreen on the inside. So I've learnt my lesson now though. I painted these and they got full of crud, so, well, paint. So I have bought a tap to run through it and clean the threads. So I think I went through the paint and the rust, and now we've got some shiny threads. Let's get the windscreen on. These are reconditioned. I've repainted them and put a stainless steel bolt through the middle. So they were in really good shape otherwise, no massive corrosion problem. Yeah, one of these jobs it's kind of difficult on your own. You almost need 3 people really. You want 2 holding it and 1 put the bolt in, but with that gym mat on the engine it was reasonably easily done. So I've got my rubber seal in there, which is quite significantly thicker than the gap that's left. And it'll be squashed down to about half, I think. And that runs all the way along. I just fold the windscreen back up. And there's some catastrophe here to fix as well. I've got to put a bit of brush paint on there. And then the windscreen is done. And then I can lift the roof. This is my neighbour and my good friend. He has the strength of 3 men. He always helps me with heavy lifting. What a milestone.